Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am joined by the one and only Josh Crash Davis. And we are here to go over the NBA two-game playoff slate for Sunday, May 1st. We have two extremely exciting games in the afternoon, a 1 o'clock Eastern and a 3:30 Eastern game. So we are going to break those down, sort of talk a little bit about the matchups, what we expect. We're also going to go over our prize pick selections. And we're, as a bonus at the end of the podcast here, we're going to build a two brains are better than one Fanduel GPP. So I think that's everything covered. What do you think, Crash?
Yeah, you got it all. You got it
Good.
all.
Good. Are you fired up? I know you're, as a Bucks fan, you're going to be jumping out of your boots tomorrow, just like I will be on Monday when the Mavs play the Suns. So
Yeah, it's going to be exciting for sure.
Yeah, and
challenge for sure too. I mean,
Yeah.
without Middleton, we're going to have some guys step up like they did in the Chicago series for sure. So
Right. And Boston's played arguably as good as anybody the last couple months. So
yeah,
we'll see what if they've got it or not, but they are the defending champs. That always carries some weight. So that should be fantastic. All right, real quickly before we get started, this podcast is presented by PrizePicks. If you're not signed up, I'm not sure what you're waiting for. Everybody's jumping on there. Everybody's loving it, making some good change here, and it's prizepicks.com. When you sign up, if it's your first deposit, make sure to use the promo code CoachTalk, all one word, no space. And if you do that, they will match you dollar for dollar on that first deposit all the way up to $100. So free money put right directly in your account. You cannot beat it. And we'll keep you posted too. The other day they had the same offer for depositors that have already put in. So if those pop up again, we'll make sure and let you know. But we will share those, and PrizePicks has been terrific. They've had some great lines that you can take advantage of and jump on when they come out and when we get player news. So big fans here of PrizePicks. Really enjoying it.
Speaking of some player news, not for basketball, but for baseball, the Yankees lineup just came out. There's no Aaron Judge in the lineup tonight. So that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that is big news. And then all kinds of other news. Trevor Bauer, 2-year suspension. That was sort of unbelievable. Yeah. And then what about Joel Embiid for speaking of basketball? We don't have Philly in this podcast, but man, what a blow for them.
Yeah, that's huge. That's
crazy
huge
stuff.
So is he out indefinitely? Is that the latest?
What's Embiid?
He's out indefinitely.
Out indefinitely. Orbital fracture and concussion, on top of the fact that he has a torn ligament in his thumb that needs surgery. So
yeah,
he's a mess.
That's tough.
All right, here we go, man. I'm going to go right into these two games. The first one, the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. We do have some lines here. We've got Boston minus 4.5, and it's a 217 total. And I'll mention the other game as well, because when we're building these lineups, obviously we've had some big differences in totals and spreads, and that affects how you build it. But now that we're down to the final 8 teams, it's pretty much going to probably be like this a lot of the way, and it's not going to be very different. The second game, Golden State and Memphis. Golden State's favored by 2, and it's a 220.5 total. So only 3 points, 3.5 points difference on the total, and 2.5 as far as the favorite team. So, everything pretty much equal. So we don't have to weigh in heavily on that stuff,
Yeah, definitely not.
And then as far as injuries in this Milwaukee-Boston game, we know what the situation is. George Hill and Chris Middleton are not playing. Everybody else is a go for Milwaukee. And Jaylen Brown is listed as probable, but it's been discussed that he is going. So Boston should be at full strength. So a couple of things to talk about here. First of all, in this matchup with the benches, what we see coming in, It's amazing too. Both of these teams have identical 51 and 31 records for the regular season too, which is very interesting. And as far as pace goes, we've got Milwaukee 7th and Boston 24th. So it's a pace up for Boston. And defensively, though, you've got Milwaukee 14th, so somewhat middle of the pack, and Boston 2nd. So definitely statistically, those aspects, lean you a little bit more towards a few Boston players here. But when you take a key guy out like Middleton, it definitely creates more of a usage bump for some of the other key guys, specifically Holiday and Giannis. So what is your initial take on this first game of the series? How do you think they'll show up day one?
I think they're going to focus on Giannis. They're going to force those other guys to kind of beat them, whether it be Drew Holiday or Bobby Portis or Grayson Allen, those kind of guys. The ones that stepped up in the Chicago series, I expect a lot of those same guys to be the ones that step up for Milwaukee in this series. So I think that they will key in on Giannis and just force other people to beat them. Without Middleton, it's going to be a lot tougher. And, somebody's going to have to step up for Milwaukee. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. And, the tough part about Giannis, people say, well, we're going to double a guy. We're going to blitz him. We're going to do this and that. And it's so much easier said than done with some guys because Giannis, for example, if he's out in transition, like, I don't know, I posted that one, take that they had on him. He got the ball, and this is no kidding. He got the ball at half court. This is an NBA court.
Right.
And it took him one dribble to get to the basket.
Yeah, it's insane to do that.
And, when you can get out and transition like that, people don't have a chance to pick you up.
Right.
And then, the other aspect of that with just his uncanny ability just to move and jump and lift and stretch. He's like unbelievable compared to anybody else in the league. You can only do so much there. I mean, sometimes a double doesn't work, or you can't get the double to him in time.
Right.
I think that the key for him, if he can knock down one or two threes, I mean, I would assume as a Bucks fan, you don't want him taking a bunch of them, but if he could knock down a few threes and a few like 17, 18 footers, big trouble, because I would assume they're going to give him those shots in lieu of letting him get in the paint. Because if he's in the paint, you're dead. I don't care how many guys you put on him.
Yeah, so, no, I agree. I mean, they'll definitely try and build a wall like, the Raptors used to try and do back in the Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah. And the thing is, though, that he's so much better of a passer now than he used to be. And so that's where those other guys like Grayson Allen and Bobby Portis and Drew Holiday, they'll have to step up.
Right.
Because if he's not hitting those shots, that's just what they're going to have to do, because they're not going to just give up the paint. They're not. I mean, Horford and with Williams back now, they've got a lot better interior defense. So, yeah, it's going to come down to if Giannis can hit those outside shots, or if he can't, the guys that can help him.
Yeah, and I think we need to focus on that. We'll see in game one here. I agree with you. I think some of those spot-up shooters, like an Allen, for example, and Holiday, of course, some guys that can spot up and hit those shots are going to be key to building our DFS lineups and on PrizePicks. We'll get some of those over 1.5 threes made. And I agree with you. I think a key to the series to watch is Giannis's assists. If he can get, those assists up where when they take that away, he's not forcing it. He's not getting charges.
Right.
And he's finding the open guy to hit the shots. That's another great PrizePick spot to look at early on as well.
Yeah.
So
you're kind of stealing my thunder a little bit there, Coach.
Oh, all right. That's okay. No worries.
Play. Yeah.
So key guys in this game, a few people I want to touch on real quickly here on, we'll talk about Milwaukee first. Looking at the pricing, and I'll just talk DraftKings for right now, although and then we're going to build one on Fanduel, so that'll give everybody a little idea there. But, with Bobby Portis in the starting lineup now at 6'4", I know it's Al Horford and, Tyson Williams, both Williams, Robert and Grant inside, and their defense is stout, but I still think Portis really fills a good role here.
Yeah.
And that price of 6'4" is pretty fair in my opinion.
Yeah, I like that play just because I don't think that this is going to be a great series for Brook Lopez. The last series was a lot better for him because Vucevic, as we've talked about, is not a great defender.
Right.
But Williams and Horford are good defenders, especially Williams. And I just think that it's going to be a rough series for Lopez. So,
well, I'll go one step further. I'm not going to touch Brook Lopez with the 10-foot pole because I think he's played off the floor.
Yeah.
I think Boston can go small with Horford and Grant Williams or Robert Williams. Tice will get some of the minutes as well, but Tice isn't your just full out center. I mean, he's a 4-5 kind of guy too. So don't be surprised if you see Giannis and Portis at the 4-5 for a big portion of this series. When they'd rather have Grayson Allen and Pat Connaughton spotting up, for Giannis to kick the ball. So, that's my first take on Milwaukee is fade, Brook Lopez like crazy.
Yeah.
You agree?
Oh, yeah, I totally agree with that.
Good. So Giannis, Bobby Portis, two guys I'll look at for sure. What do you think about 8-2 Drew Holiday? I love Drew, but that's a big number.
He had a couple where he had like decent games with 39 and 37 DK points, but he also had a 50 and a 59 against Boston. So he's put up some good numbers against them. I don't know. I think that he could be a strong play and a pivot to guys like Steph and Ja Morant and those higher price point guards. I'm not saying that he's by any means a lock play,
right?
But I think he could be a nice little pivot in a tournament.
Yeah, he's the one that I just haven't made a decision on yet. He's 8-1 on FanDuel, 8-2 on DraftKings. So, it's a big commitment. It can pay off, no doubt, but the jury's out, on that one for me. I do think that the two guys that I mentioned already, though, Grayson Allen at 4.8 and Pat Connaughton at 3.9 are both value plays that I think will both get decent minutes here.
Yeah, I do too. I definitely think. I think Allen will. I don't know if he'll move into the starting lineup, but I think that he'll definitely get solid minutes and Connaughton as well.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if they don't start Brook and they start Allen, or at least I think Allen gets more minutes than Brook in a lot of spots. But we'll see. I wouldn't play Connaughton and Allen, but I think one or the other is a great value play.
Yeah, I agree.
Then on the Boston side, we're just going to consider that Jaylen Brown is healthy and he's a go. So it's not a big deal there. So, the big decision always is when they both play Jason Tatum at 9.4, Jaylen Brown at 7.9, do you go with one of those two guys? Do you really roll the dice and go with both? I mean, they are the majority of this Boston offense. There's no question about it. But what do you think on the matchups? You think Drew Holiday, it checks Jaylen Brown?
That's not how they played it during the regular season, but without Middleton, it'll be interesting to see. I kind of want to go back and watch the film from there's one game this year where neither Middleton nor Giannis played and Holiday played. So it'll be interesting to see how he matched up against them in that game. But I think that Brown, maybe Wesley Matthews will guard him.
Possibly.
We see that.
Yeah.
But Brown's had good success. I mean, he's $1,500 cheaper on DK than Tatum and almost $3,000 cheaper on FanDuel. So for somebody that's put up pretty similar numbers, a little bit less, obviously, but for the price difference, it's worth it, I think, with Jaylen Brown. He might be a better play, honestly, than Tatum.
Well, we're going to be following this very closely, all the coach speak, all the beat writer info. And what I need to see is matchups, or at least preliminary matchups. So we need confirmation on the starting lineups, and we need to get some chirping on these matchups, because that really is a big difference for me. Because there's a couple of different scenarios they can go here defensively. But we'll follow that closely, and that's a great reason to be part of what we're doing here at Coach Talk. So if you're looking to come aboard, this is a great time. Go to dfscoachtalk.com. We have a lot of opportunities to sign up there, even a 3-day pass for $10. And that's what we'll be following, because all through right up until lock, we're going to be following all of that information. And if Holiday guards Jaylen Brown, I think that's a check against Brown. If it is Matthews, he's lost a little bit, a half a step now, and getting a little older. I would think that would be a plus for Brown, but it all changes because Middleton's defense isn't in there. So he's not going to guard Tatum, and you're going to get a lot of different rotations here. So we're going to follow that closely, and that'll help us make some of these final decisions. But, I don't see a lineup, truthfully, that I'm going to put together that's not going to have either Brown or Tatum. I personally think having one of them is a necessity.
Well, I'll say this. If Jaylen Brown has a really good game in game one, then you're probably going to see, if Holiday doesn't start out on Brown, then you're probably going to see him on him pretty quick, because we saw that with DeMar DeRozan. He had that monster game in game two, and then they just went to Drew Holiday and kind of shut DeRozan down, honestly. I mean, they really slowed him down. So I think that this could be the game, if you're going to play Jaylen Brown, that you want to play him, assuming that Holiday doesn't start out on him.
Yeah, and if it was me, I'd start Holiday on him. So we'll watch it closely, see what happens. But if I don't go Brown, I'm not afraid to pay up for Tatum. I think 9-4 on DraftKings is fair. A little bit tougher on Fanduel, though. 10-3. Yeah, that might be just a little over my price range for him. Because, again, Milwaukee was only a middle of the league defense this year for some reason. And so it does make it interesting. Now, as far as the bigs go, I'm running and hiding, with Horford, Tice, and the two Williams boys. I mean, I think those four are going to chop up minutes like crazy, and usage and rebounds and the whole 9 yards. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, Williams is the one that had the most success against Milwaukee this year. He averaged about 32.8 DK points, which at his pace would be really good.
You're talking Robert.
Robert. Yeah. I don't know if his minutes are there, if they're going to be there yet. So
I don't think so. That's the problem.
Yeah. So, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to avoid that whole situation, because like you said, they're going to be splitting it between four guys. So,
I mean, and Robert Williams has not had a full load of minutes since they brought him back. And I think they're trying to get him through the playoffs with whatever, 24 minutes a game, whatever they can get out of him. And it just makes it very tough from the DFS, side of the world there.
Definitely.
When you have those other guys playing well. And I'll tell you, at 3.8, Grant Williams, I've used him a few times, and he gets there, man. You wouldn't think he would, because he's small for a big guy, but he just, he's not bad. He really isn't. He gets some numbers.
Yeah.
But how tempting is it at Robert Williams at 5K flat, though?
I know. That's very tempting. But until we see those minutes, I mean, we know why his price is so far down. So
exactly. And that's the exact reason. So, all right, excellent. All right, let's dive into game two. That first game's at 1 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 Eastern for the second game. It's Golden State and Memphis. Memphis got by the skin of their teeth against Minnesota here. Not very much rest for them coming into this one. So that will be interesting. And Golden State's a 2-point road favorite. 220.5 is the total. Only guy out for Golden State is Iguodala. And then we know Adams out for Memphis. And then three guys that are real, Aldama and Tilly, who I mention every day, they're questionable, but they're not really in the rotation. Zaire Williams gets a few minutes if he plays, but he's questionable, so not going to count him in there either. So this should be a very interesting series. Everybody right now, Vegas has Golden State as the favorites to win the championship, which is, talk about a quick turnaround on the way everything looked a month ago.
Right.
But, I still think Phoenix is the team to beat personally, but, with Curry and Thompson and Poole playing at that level, and with, Green back in there, Wiggins, they are playing good basketball, and they do have the pedigree. They have the championships and the experience. Do you think this is going to be a good series?
I think it's going to be a pretty good series. I think it's probably going to go 6 is my guess. I'm going to say the Warriors win it in 6.
Okay. I don't, I get it. I haven't seen anybody picking the Grizz, and they weren't that great against Minnesota. Let's face it. They got by. Desmond Bane, I thought, was terrific, but I thought Ja was pretty average in spots.
Yeah.
He did have a couple of spectacular dunks, though.
Yeah, definitely did that. It's a big step up here, obviously, in level of competition for Memphis. So we'll see.
And I'll tell you what, if there was ever a series that was going to be centerless, I think it's going to be this one. Because already the projected starting lineups, well, we've lost Adams, for the series, more than likely for the Grizz, and Looney's sort of on the bench. So you've got centers in this game of like Draymond Green, who's like a 3, if you really want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And Xavier Tillman or Brandon Clark, or Jaren Jackson, whatever, bunch of 4s, so there's not really a true 5 that I think is going to get real serious minutes.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And Clark, he's going to have Draymond on him, so that's going to be an interesting battle there.
I'll tell you what, I've been on his bandwagon, and he has led me to some nice cashes here in this last round, but I think that the secret's out on him. He's going to be a lot higher owned, and like you said, welcome to big time. Draymond's going to be on him like glue.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Now, the only thing, we can hope is maybe, you get Draymond on Jaren Jackson a little bit if Jackson starts getting hot. So we have to see what that rotation is going to look like as well. But let's start with Golden State. So first of all, the big discussion here is, let me give you a few stats to back this up. So you have Golden State 14th in pace, Memphis 3rd. So Memphis is going to play faster, which means more shots getting up for Golden State, which is not good news for Memphis. And then you've got defensively, you've got Denver 18th. And I'm sorry,
Memphis.
Am I losing my mind? Golden State 1st and Memphis 4th is what I'm trying to say. So poor Nuggets. For any Nuggets fans out there, I'm sorry, I just rubbed the salt in the wound there. I didn't mean to. But so you've got the top 2 of the top 4 defenses. So that makes me think, is the Milwaukee Boston game really the game to focus on more than this? Or because the way Golden State's shooting the ball and the way, Memphis can score it. I mean, Bane has been shooting the eyes out of the hoop.
Gosh, yeah.
And so, it's a tough call, but the numbers don't lie. You have 2 of the top 4 defensive teams in the league throughout the year here. And that is interesting to me. You can look, we're talking about game 1 here, but even for the series, where do you think you're going to get a little bit more points and DFS availability for points out of these 2 series?
Oh man, that's a good
pressure,
question, Coach, because like you said, with these defensive heavy teams, technically Boston and Milwaukee are supposed to be good defensive teams too. So really all 4 of these teams are supposed to be really good defensively. Boston played good defense against Brooklyn, I thought, for the most part. So Milwaukee did against Chicago too. So it's going to be interesting to see which team steps up the most. I just always think of the Warriors as an offensive team. I don't know, but
and they're number 1 in defense.
Right. But they scored 130 whatever the other day in that game in Denver. So
yeah. I just for me, I sort of gave away my hand here a little bit. I just think this series, to go against the numbers, I just think these teams are going to get shots up, and I think the way Golden State is scoring the basketball right now, it's going to be interesting, and playing centerless ball basically. So you're going to get a little bit more transition, even a little more speed, because these teams, rankings as far as pace were with bigs in there, with a slow Adams, a slow Looney, all these guys. So I think it's going to be a little more wide open here. A ton of threes going up. So I'm going to favor this series and this first game a little bit more. So, we got the mix of Steph Curry, only 8'9". So a sub 9K Curry.
Yeah.
Wow, that's exciting. Jordan Poole 6'8", Klay Thompson 7'1". So those are the three guys that are going to be letting it rip. Where do you think? Where do you rank those guys?
I mean, to me, it's just kind of the way they're priced. I'm going to go Curry 1, Klay 2, and Poole 3. So
okay,
yeah, that's the way I'm looking at that. Draymond has had his games too, where he's been up there in the fantasy points too. I don't think this is a good series at all for Andrew Wiggins, so I'm not going to go there.
Okay.
And I think you've got a little bit of a value play in Gary Payton II at 3,400. There's not really hardly any value on this slate, in my opinion.
Right.
So that's definitely somebody to keep in mind for a GPP sleeper.
Yeah.
But I think Steph comes out national TV, and I just think he's going to go off in the first game.
Yeah, I think with Bane and Brooks defensively, I respect their defense, and I'm interested to see what this rotation is going to be for how Memphis is going to try to guard them. I think Coach Jenkins is a great coach, and I think, I think Steph is going to get more shots than he's used to, because the fact that Poole and Thompson have had some big games here recently. Yeah. You can't have all three of those guys hitting shots on you, or you're in deep trouble. So you got to narrow it down. And I know Steph Curry's he literally is the greatest shooter in the history of basketball. But I think Bane and Brooks, they're going to concentrate on trying to suffocate Poole and Thompson. This way, Curry's going to get shots. So Curry's going to be my key play on this slate. And I think Memphis is going to say, okay, Curry, get your 35, 38, whatever you're going to fill it up with. We're going to crunch down on Poole and Thompson. Who else is going to beat him? Yeah. Is it going to be Wiggins, Draymond Green, or off the bench, a Porter, a Payton? They can't really go much deeper for scoring, Golden State. That's the issue.
Yeah.
So that's the way I see it playing out.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think that's a really good point.
Yeah. So I'll have Curry 100% everything across the board, and try to figure out, at 5'6", can Wiggins be the guy? If he's getting their fifth defender, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where he's not getting attention to him at all. They're going out and taking away the 3-point line from Curry, Poole, and Thompson. Wiggins should have a field day. So I think a lot of people are thinking like you, that Wiggins he can be such a dud. But at 5'6", I think he can be a difference maker. And I don't like Andrew Wiggins. You know that. I don't play him very often. But I just like this matchup for him, because I think he's going to be the guy that is just the odd guy from Memphis to try to guard, because they're not going to guard him with Bane or Brooks. No way.
True.
So how is Jackson or Tillman or Clark going to defend him? I don't see that happening. Do they drop Jaw down to guard him? He'll take him right to the block.
Yeah.
So, Wiggins is my secret squirrel shocker here, because I have not played him much all year.
Well, and it makes some sense because I was just looking at the numbers with what he averaged against Memphis, but that was without Clay and Steph. So that changes everything, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many differences now compared to what was going on in the regular season. It
Right.
makes that smaller sample size not as effective. Sometimes sample sizes, even though they're small, have a little more bite to them. But when there's all this shifting with different guys,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really not even valid.
Right. Yeah.
Anything on the Golden State side that you want to throw in there?
That was it for me on the Golden State side. That's it for me on Golden State.
Yeah, I think Peyton, that's a good point. Where there's not much value at 3.4, you got to think he's going to get what, 22 minutes, 23 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, I would think so.
Maybe enough to get him there.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as Memphis goes, I mean, I think you've got tremendous pricing on Bain, Brooks, Jackson, and Clark. You're talking mid-level pricing. 6'9" Bain, 5'8" Brooks, 5'9" Jackson, 6'1" Clark.
Yeah.
All affordable, all playable. The only big decision you have is, do you go up to 9'6" Jaw?
True.
And where, is he going to pay that number off? He really didn't do it a lot so far in the playoffs.
Yeah.
To pay off, you're going 5x plus 10,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, he might be a nice GPP play in a huge GPP, but I don't want to go there.
I agree. I mean, I love him. I think he's going to want to play better. I thought he played poor in that last game against Minnesota. But remember, he had Patrick Beverly,
True.
hammering at him. And that's no fun for anybody. So, he could be a break the slate kind of guy. I get it. But I think I need to see a little bit more first.
Yeah. Well, he's not going to have those, I don't think, those easy layups and dunks like he does against these other teams, because Draymond Green will put him on his backside.
Yeah. And Golden State's wasn't the number one defensive team for the majority of the year, for no reason. So,
right.
So to me, it's what combination of those four guys for the Grizzlies are you going to roll out there? Or do you use your one super cheap play on a Tillman at 3-3 or a Kyle Anderson at 4-1? I'll tell you the guy that I love him, and he hit a big three in this last game. And it's just, can he get enough minutes, is Tyus Jones. I mean, when Ja was out this year, people forget they were like 20-3 with Tyus Jones starting at point instead of Ja. He's a terrific defender. He can score the ball. Making that three, which really clinched that game for them. Don't sell Tyus Jones short, because they're not afraid to play him next to Morant.
Right.
And I haven't seen DeAnthony Melton. I haven't seen him in a game in years.
Yeah, he's been on a milk carton during the playoffs for sure.
Yep. So it's to me right now, my other big value play, if I have I'll call him a secret chipmunk as a second guy. I believe in Tyus Jones at 25 to 28 minutes. And I'm not saying he can get that, but that's what I need him to get. Yeah. My concern is if it's one of those games where Ja gets a little hot and they have a good defensive rotation, is Tyus going to get 15 minutes? Because then you're in trouble. So what are you looking at for your key plays on Memphis?
Definitely Bain and Brooks. Those are the two guys that really stand out to me. Brandon Clark, it all depends on if he gets Draymond Green defense or not. If he doesn't, I think he's a really good play. But if he does, I'm not going to go there. So that's pretty simple there. And I think the Tyus Jones play, I like that, coming off the bench. And he's been getting, like you said, 20, 25 minutes a game. And that would be definitely my value play in this game.
Yeah, Jaren Jackson has the ability to be tremendous, but his foul propensity is enough to make you nuts. So you got to have some courage to take him. I mean, and again, there's going to be a mismatch with somebody here for them, with Wiggins playing that 4 more than likely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see how they're going to match that up. Again, Jackson at 5'9" can be a great play. I'm not going to go there. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him.
Yeah.
I'm a Brandon Clark guy. I've talked about it on the podcasts all week. I've been in his corner since the year before COVID at Summer League, where Brandon Clark was the MVP when Memphis won the Vegas Summer League.
Yeah,
and I just thought this kid was going to be a star. He just has never gotten the big minutes that he needed.
Yeah.
And he's getting them now. And I have no problem going right back to him. And, I believe in Dylan Brooks. He was my captain in the showdown slate the other day and got me there. And my PrizePicks top play. Now, he can go cold.
Right.
But the good part with Brooks, though, is he's not going to let that stop him from shooting. So,
true.
Dylan Brooks thinks Dylan Brooks is the best shooter in the league, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So, at 5'8", it's not that bad of a risk because he's going to get the minutes. He's going to get you some steals. But one of my favorite guys is Desmond Bane. I will say though, at 6'9", when you're talking about almost $7K for him, it's fair. It's the right price.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the rest of those Grizzlies and they're all, 1,000 and more less than him, it makes the build a little tricky.
Yeah, it makes him a very obvious pivot from Klay Thompson. I mean, they're almost the same price. So
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think I'll have probably 5 or 6 guys from this game, believe it or not, in my lineup, in my build.
Yeah.
I'll have this game heavier than the first game. I think the prices are fair, and I don't think you have to scrape the bottom of the barrel. I mean, you can make really good lineups, and I built several of them already, just playing around trying to figure out how I wanted to go. And you really only have to go with one so-called reach. I mean, either a Gary Payton, an Otto Porter, a Tyus Jones, a Kyle Anderson, Pat Connaughton, a Grayson Allen, a Grant Williams. I mean, that group, they're all like 3, 5, 4,
right.
In that neighborhood. But you don't have to take, where it's the days where you had to go up and get Giannis and Joker and Luka, and you want, you had to take like 3 of these guys. You can get away with 1 or at very worst 2 if you do want to go Giannis. So, it gives you a couple of options here, I think, where you can really build for the first time that medium level build. And we haven't done that hardly all year. It's been, what's got us here is stars and scrubs kind of builds, but this is a different setup with these 2 teams playing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's do 2 things, man. Let's hit these PrizePicks plays.
Okay.
Do you have 2 prepared that you want to throw in the mix?
Yep, I sure do.
All right, give us your first one. What do you got?
I'll go ahead and give you the one that you almost took from me in the middle of the first conversation we had about game 1 of the Bucks and Celtics. So it's going to be Giannis over 5.5 assists. That number in 3 of his last 4 games in the Bulls series. So, you kind of saw right there an uptick in his assists when Middleton went down. And I think the same thing's going to happen in this series. I think that, they're going to focus in on him and he's going to get other people involved like Allen and Matthews and Portis and those guys. So definitely like Giannis over 5.5 assists.
I love it. I am going to go even though I like the other game much better, I'm going to give one of my plays here. It's PRA over for Bobby Portis.
Okay.
It's only 23.5. Again, I just like the role he's going to play here. I think he's going to get some open threes. I think he's going to get some good rebounding opportunities. And I do think, with Milwaukee, I think Milwaukee will go smaller and won't have Lopez out there grabbing a bunch of those. And I think Portis is the biggest beneficiary there. So 23.5 points, rebounds, assists, I think is very fair. I think that he gets to that number. I haven't projected at 27 PRA. So, whenever you're 3.5 over, that becomes an auto play for me.
I like that.
All right. What do you got in pick 2 for everybody?
Jason Tatum over 1.5 blocks and steals. He went over that number in all 3 games against the Bucks this year, and I can see that scenario where Giannis drives the paint, and then like he usually does against better defensive teams, he struggles sometimes with turning the ball over, and I think Tatum will pick up a steal or 2 like that, and he's prone to get blocks too. So I just think that that's a little bit too low for Tatum. I think he's going to get 2 to 3 blocks and steals combined.
That's a hard one for you to be rooting for when you're watching.
Yeah, it definitely is, especially if the game's close.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I've got another one from the Boston, Milwaukee game because it's an under. So don't yell at me out there because I do have a bunch of overplays for Golden State, the Golden State game for our members. But I like under total fantasy score 22 for Brook Lopez. I don't think he gets the big minutes. 6-7 points, 2-3 rebounds, maybe a block. I mean, I just don't think he's going to get there.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to have, the minutes and opportunity. So
I like it. I was going to use the same one. So
were you? Good.
Yeah.
Under fantasy score 22, Brook Lopez. So there we go. All right. So there's our initial plays there. Let's jump on FanDuel, and we're going to do our 2 brains are better than 1 2-game playoff here. And I'm entering this in, what did I just, I'm going for the big bucks here, man. The 333K Sunday and NBA layup. So this is going to get entered right off the bat. And I'm taking Steph Curry, not to be rude and pick first, but I'm taking Steph.
Okay. And I will take Bobby Portis.
You know that I like that pick. He's 6'2", and you're taking a power forward?
Yeah, we can get basically 3 centers now,
Right. I mean, they've made power forward / center like the big thing here in the playoffs. I know people are squawking about it. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
It creates more contrarian builds because not everybody's playing the same guys,
Exactly, especially in this series where there's these 2 series where there's no obvious pay up center. So
yeah. All right, I am going to go with my value guy, for $4,300 point guard Tyus Jones. He's going to be the one that I said I'm going to dive down and take a cheap guy.
Okay. And I am going to take. Let's see. I'm going to take Klay Thompson.
At shooting guard?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go with my secret squirrel here. I hope you're not upset about it because I know you weren't crazy about him, but I'm going small forward, 6K flat, Andrew Wiggins.
Okay.
So I didn't lie to you guys. See, I'm taking people from that Golden State Memphis game.
I'm going to take.
So we have the Splash Brothers and Wiggins. So that's pretty stout there. So we have 68.75. We got plenty of cash here. Like I said, these medium builds are going to be popular.
I'm going to take Connaughton at 4-2.
Wow. Okay. At
small forward.
Small. Okay. I can live with that. That's 77.67 a man. I got to stick with Desmond Bane, man. He's 7-3 is fair for me.
Yeah, he is so good.
He's playing with such confidence, and he's if you listen to him in interviews, boy, what a smart kid too. He really understands the game. He's the kind of guy that'll be a coach someday.
Yeah, he's really impressive to me. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and move Connaughton to power forward. And the reason I'm doing it is so I can put Jaylen Brown at small forward.
Okay. Yeah, I like that play, but we still haven't seen the matchup. So Jaylen Brown at small is 79, and then Connaughton and power that leaves me how much for center? 8,100. We got too much money left. This is a great problem to have.
Yeah. I was say that's not a bad problem to have at all.
All right, so we have 3 Golden State, 2 Milwaukee, 1 Boston, 2 Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
And we have $8,100 left. I think that I'm going to go against the grain here. We're going to have to figure out to spend some more money because I'm going to take Brandon Clark.
Okay.
That's 59. So that leaves us 2,200. So we can move up. The logical choices would be either Tyus Jones or Connaughton.
Mm-hmm.
Is there, let's take a look at both. At point guard, if we didn't take Tyus, we could get Marcus Smart. That's one option.
Mm-hmm.
Or at power, if we didn't go Connaughton, for what would that be? We could go up to what? Jaren. I don't want Jaren Jackson. I mean, I'm okay with going to Smart. He's going to play big minutes.
We could also move off of Thompson and go to Drew, but I kind of like Thompson more.
Let's go with this lineup. It's $200 left, and it makes sense. Steph Curry and Marcus Smart at point, Klay Thompson, Desmond Bane at shooting, Andrew Wiggins and Jaylen Brown at small forward, Bobby Portis and Pat Connaughton at power, and Brandon Clark at center.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's no huge weak link, stretches there.
Right.
I think we're going to get big minutes for all of those guys. Connaughton maybe mid-20s would be our lowest, but everybody else should get mid-30s plus, don't you think?
Yeah, I would think so. And, it is a GPP, so we don't have like Giannis or Tatum or whatever, but yeah.
We don't have Giannis, we don't have Tatum, and we don't have Ja.
Right. But we do have Steph and Klay and Bane and Jaylen Brown. So there's those kind of guys that can definitely put up some points.
I mean, we're going to see a lot of guys go with stars and scrubs. You're going to see Giannis and Curry and Ja and a bunch of lineups, and then they're going to be scratching for Derek Whites and, all these other dudes that, are hoping are going to get minutes. And the guys we mentioned, but, again, we have one of them, Connaughton, out of that group of 6 or 7 that I mentioned. If you want Ja and Giannis and stuff, fine, but you're going to have to take like 3 of those guys. So how does that balance through? I'm personally looking at this mid-level build as being the path to taking something down here. The defense gets tighter. These are good coaches. They're going to focus on some of the key guys, which is going to open the door up for some of these. Really, a lot of these guys are the second option, really. I mean, other than Curry, there are times they do run things specifically for Klay or Jaylen Brown, but, a lot of times things are going to open for these guys because they're going to be focusing on the Tatums and guys like that. So I think we got a good build here. I like it.
Me too. I like this too. I really do.
All right. Well, fantastic. This should be a good one. And then on Monday, it's going to be Deb and I doing this podcast because my Mavs against her Suns. So that should be an interesting one.
I am so looking forward to hearing that podcast.
It's going to be Dirk in the background, and she's got Charles Barkley, I think, in the background. So this is old school battle Suns Mavericks. So we'll see how that goes, but it should be fun. But all right, so that gives you the PrizePicks stuff. Thank you for them being the presenting sponsor, PrizePicks.com. Use that promo Coach Talk, and you get up to $100 on that first deposit, dollar for dollar. Also, if you want to sign up with us, dfscoachtalk.com. You can all kinds of different options for memberships. And then the last thing, if you're watching this on YouTube on the way out, quick thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, the alert up in the corner. That means a lot to us. And if you're listening to this as an audio podcast, check it out. We really appreciate that. If you give us a quick 5-star and comment, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening. So Much appreciated. Great job, Crash. Good luck to your Bucks.
Yeah.
This is going to be a tough series for them.
It
like my
is.
Mavs with the Suns. I mean, we're underdogs, so nothing wrong with being an underdog and getting after it because
sure.
you have a lot to prove. So should be fun.
I wanted to point out that they are having on PrizePicks, they're having I think they're calling it Flex Fest.
Yes,
basically it's all your flex plays, whether it's 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5, they're all boosted in their payouts. So today is definitely a good day if you haven't joined PrizePicks yet to join, because those flex plays, they can really build your bankroll. So I highly recommend those over all the power plays.
Yeah, and they're so much easier to hit. I mean, the power plays are tough, but you get paid. But when they add money to these flex plays, that's the way to go, because 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, I mean, that's very doable, and it's a great way to build your bankroll on PrizePicks.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Appreciate you. Enjoy your Sunday and Monday. I know you got baseball going like crazy all weekend. Hope everything goes very well there. We've got some golfers with everybody making the cut. We got, of course, these basketball playoffs. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So
definitely
appreciate everybody listening in. Thanks for spending this time with us. Hopefully that gives you a good feel for not just these first 2 games, but both of these series as we go here, what to watch for the matchups. And we'll be sharing all that information right up until lock in Discord. So thanks so much for joining in. Have a great evening, a great day. And we'll be back again tomorrow when we look to crush it in NBA. And what are all our PGA, MLB? We're looking to hit all of them in DFS and in PrizePicks. So we'll see you tomorrow. Appreciate it.